galactic assembly convened emergency sessions. Yet even their greatest fleets hesitated. Who could face a force that had slept for millennia, untouched, unaging, designed to outlast civilizations themselves? Some claimed humanity had planned this, that in their final days they forged not a tomb but a vault of vengeance. Others insisted it was an accident, machines obeying long-dead masters, but the ships moved with too much purpose. Their formations were precise, their patrols deliberate, their silence intentional. It felt less like a malfunction and more like a return. The Armada's march. The Varen were the first to witness the Armada in full. From the shadow of a red dwarf, they watched as the fleet emerged. Thousands upon thousands of Terran warships, some the size of moons, others sleek as predators. Their hulls glowed with newly awakened power, their insignias, faded but unbroken, declaring names like Iron Requiem, Eternal Vigil, Sword of Terra. They moved as one, without hesitation, without error. No living crew could be seen, no voices hailed the stars, and yet they operated with the discipline of a fleet freshly drilled. The codes had not just awakened engines, they had awakened the will of humanity itself, embedded in steel and circuits. The galaxy watched in terror as the fleet did not simply defend its graveyard. It expanded outward, reclaiming ancient sectors once human-held. Relay by relay, station by station, the Terran Armada stitched together a map long thought lost. The terror of memory. As the Armada advanced, records resurfaced. Hidden archives revealed what most had forgotten. Humans had not been reckless fools. They had been meticulous. Their wars had been brutal, but their strategies were rooted in patience, endurance, and foresight. When their empire began to crumble, they had not surrendered to entropy. They had prepared for absence. The fleets were not abandoned. They were hidden, their access locked behind codes buried in the genetic keys of Terran descendants. If one vault had awakened, how many more lay in wait across the galaxy? The alien powers trembled. What if this was not the only Armada? What if entire legions of ghost fleets slumbered beneath their own colonies, waiting for the day a human hand or human code summoned them? The storm preserved. The climax came when the Cathari Imperium launched its grand strike. 500 ships descended on the Perseus fringe, armed with the most advanced weapons of the age. They believed numbers would triumph. They believed technology had surpassed the ruins of Earth. But when the first volley was fired, the Terran Armada answered with silence, and then obliteration. Not a single Terran ship broke formation. Not a single maneuver faltered. The battle lasted less than an hour. Cathari wreckage drifted across the stars, torn apart by weapons designed to humble entire civilizations. The message was clear. The Armada was not a relic. It was a storm waiting for the galaxy to forget. And now it had been remembered. The aftermath. When the battles ended, the Armada did not chase survivors. It did not invade indiscriminately. Instead, it returned to its patrols, its movements deliberate and patient, as though it was waiting still. The galaxy understood. This was not vengeance. This was preservation. Humanity had woven its legacy not in fragile monuments, but in storms of steel that would one day wake and remind the stars. Earth endures. Whispers spread through every system. If this is what they forgot, what else have the humans left waiting? Epilogue, Dread Eternal. In the shadowed corners of the galaxy, captains lower their voices when speaking of the Perseus fringe. Traders refuse to cross near the graveyard. Soldiers dream of ships moving without crews, engines burning without rest. And in every council chamber, every war room, one question lingers like a blade at the throat. If forgotten codes could unlock such a fleet, what happens when humanity itself returns to claim it? They had long agreed that humanity was gone. The Kelari archive spoke of it as a settled matter. Terrans had burned themselves out in wars too vast, too furious for any species to survive. Their cities had fallen into glass plains. Their colonies had gone dark. Their signals, once noisy, desperate, and filled with endless chatter, had collapsed into a void centuries ago. To the galaxy, Earth was not a world, it was a ghost. In council chambers across alien worlds, humanity was reduced to footnotes, a species too violent to endure. The Kelari historians even used the term the vanished fire, speaking of humans as both warning and curiosity. Ships passed the Sol system now and then, scanning the pale dot of Earth with clinical detachment. Nothing stirred. Only orbital wreckage and dead satellites circled the blue-gray sphere. For 500 years, no one heard a single Terran voice. And so the galaxy moved on, building its empires, raising its fleets, and boasting of progress. Humanity was dust. Humanity was finished. Or so they believed. Signals beneath the graveyard. It began as nothing more than interference. The Kelari listening post stationed near the Kuiper belt detected bursts of static, erratic and ancient, coded in languages long fallen out of use. At first, they dismissed it. Cosmic echoes, the slow breakdown of Terran machinery still tumbling through space. But then the signals repeated, precise, deliberate, structured. They came not from drifting satellites but from something buried deeper. Vast installations hidden among ice fields, silent for centuries, now whispering again. The Kelari debated. Some argued it was nothing but decayed code loops, automated messages meant to run forever. Others claimed it was bait, traps laid by a species that had destroyed itself in paranoia. A few, the cautious ones, warned that the patterns were too clean, too sharp. Not echoes, not mistakes, commands. Survey craft were dispatched. Their scans revealed derelict stations kilometers across, cloaked in the cold. Huge doors, scarred and motionless, buried in asteroids. No heat signatures, no power. Ruins, they declared, nothing more. Yet the signals grew stronger. The awakening of Lox. It happened when the surveyors attempted intrusion. Their drones tried to override the archaic Terran codes, breaking into what they thought were empty vaults. But the Lox did not yield. They responded. Lines of encryption came alive, countering every probe with precision. The drones were shut down, their systems overwritten with lightning speed. Then, before the Kelari could react, the doors moved. For the first time in half a millennium, colossal blast-shielded gates groaned open. Gases vented into the void. Rust flaked away. And from the darkness inside, lights blinked on, lines of crimson, white, and gold that illuminated impossible shapes. The surveyors froze. Because what emerged were not ruins. What emerged were ships. At first, only outlines. Towering hulls with human markings still visible, weapons arrays like jaws of steel, hangar bays the size of cities. Engines pulsed, sluggish but steady, as though shaking off centuries of sleep. Their codes rolled across the void, verifying themselves against one another, confirming authority in languages thought dead. The forgotten Armada was not forgotten to itself. Every lock was still valid, every system still knew its place, every ship still obeyed. The graveyard was alive. The day the stars trembled. The first ship to move was an old Terran dreadnought, its hull blackened with scars from wars none now remembered. It drifted forward with precision that belied its age, thrusters flaring with a steady, terrifying rhythm. Then another followed, and another. Within hours, dozens of them moved, cruisers, carriers, frigates, each bearing the crest of a civilization that the galaxy had consigned to memory. Together they aligned, as if answering a call only they could hear. The Kalari ships panicked. They sent warnings, hails, even threats, but the Terran vessels did not answer. They did not need to. Their formation alone was enough to speak. And then the true storm arrived. From hidden vaults embedded in moons, from stations that had masqueraded as rubble, from fields of drifting ice, more and more ships activated. Hundreds, then thousands. Their combined mass eclipsed starlight. Their wakes bent gravity. What terrified the Kalari most was not simply the scale, but the readiness. These ships had not decayed. Their weapons cycled flawlessly. Their shields calibrated without delay. Their engines, older than entire empires, roared as though they had never stopped. This was no accident of survival. This was design. Humanity had not died. Humanity had prepared. The clash of eras. The Kalari High Command ordered their fleets to intercept. Surely, they reasoned, these Terran husks, even if awakened, could not match modern technology. Their warships, sleek and efficient, moved in with confidence. But confidence dissolved the moment battle began. The Terran dreadnoughts moved as if they had been born yesterday, not centuries ago. Their weapons unleashed storms of plasma and mass drivers with a ferocity unmatched by modern arsenals.